Hello guys, your boy Alex here with another reaction. Now we have something really crazy on the channel because you guys sent me a video which is mind-blowing from the title already. Why the world are fearing Filipino soldiers, because something is changing in the Filipino army and not only. And I'm so damn curious. I mean, after I saw what 900 Filipinos did in the war, 900 against 40,000. So yeah, I know it's mind-blowing. I'm gonna leave the card at the end of the video. If you don't know the March of Valiant, I have it's a documentary which is longer that explain everything, and one it's a shorter one. I'm gonna leave it both at the end of the video. This is gonna be mind-blowing, I guess. Everything about Filipino people and country is mind-blowing, but yeah, I mean, bear with me guys. It's my first time hearing and seeing all of this. Okay, that being said, if you're new on the channel, welcome. Like the video, subscribe, of course. Leave your thoughts down below. What we should see next on the channel. It's going to be really helpful. Not for me only, or for you out there, but for the world to know more about the Philippines. That being said, let's see this army over here.
Why does the world fear Filipino soldiers? It's not because they have the biggest weapons or the most advanced technology. No. It's because time and time again in wars across the globe, Filipino fighters have proven almost impossible to break. Enemies called them ghosts in the jungle. Allies called them lifesavers. And history remembers them as warriors who fight far beyond the limits of human endurance. From the desperate battles of World War II, to the frozen fields of Korea, to modern missions where they stared down impossible odds, the Filipino soldier has built a reputation that makes even the strongest armies stop and think twice. Let's rewind to 1941. The Japanese invasion of the Philippines had begun. Japan's empire was at its peak, unstoppable, terrifying, crushing everything in its path. Everyone thought the Philippines would fall in days. After all, the soldiers defending the islands were poorly equipped. Some had no helmets, some had rifles so old they jammed constantly. Others fought with nothing more than bolos, the curved machetes used for farming.
A big heart.
Many didn't even have proper boots. They fought in worn-out sandals or barefoot. They faced one of the most powerful militaries in the world with almost nothing, except courage. And yet the world watched in disbelief as Filipino and American troops held out for months in the Battle of Bataan. What was supposed to be a lightning-fast Japanese victory turned into a grinding war of attrition. Starving, sick, and running out of bullets, the defenders still refused to give up. Soldiers boiled shoe leather just to eat something.
I don't know anything about that. Like the other one with Korea, you know, the war between North Korea when they tried to invade. I have it on the channel, like I was saying. So this one, it's going to be something that I'm interested in, and I hope you guys as well. I know it's history, but it's an amazing history. And I'm sorry that a lot of people don't talk about this. They should, because it's something like really mind-blowing. The one that I reacted and I saw 900 people against 40,000, and they stood their ground. Unbelievable.
Others fought with bayonets long after their ammunition was gone. Still, they stood their ground. A Japanese general, stunned by their defiance, later admitted he had never encountered resistance like that. The Philippines had been expected to collapse in weeks. Instead, Bataan became a symbol of bravery under impossible conditions. But here's the remarkable part. When Bataan finally fell in April 1942, the story of the Filipino warrior spirit didn't end. Out of the ashes, a new kind of army was born. Filipino guerrillas rose up in the jungles and mountains. Farmers became fighters, teachers became spies, fishermen became saboteurs. They were everywhere and nowhere, striking with the precision of shadows. They blew up supply lines, ambushed convoys, rescued captured soldiers, and sent priceless intelligence to the Allies. The Japanese called them bandits, but in truth they were an invisible army, and they made Japan's occupation a nightmare. There's one story of a small band of guerrillas in northern Luzon. They had no radio, no modern weapons, just determination. And yet they managed to intercept Japanese plans, relay them to American submarines offshore, and save hundreds of lives. These weren't professional soldiers. They were ordinary Filipinos who simply refused to bow. General Douglas MacArthur, who famously promised, "I shall return," later admitted that without Filipino resistance, retaking the islands would have been nearly impossible. That is how deeply their courage reshaped the course of the war. A people with almost nothing turned an empire's occupation into a constant nightmare. And that was just the beginning. Fast forward to the Korean War, 1950. Once again, the Philippines answered the
I was
call.
talking about.
They sent soldiers, small in number compared to the giant armies of the United States, China, and North Korea. Some foreign leaders laughed at the idea. What difference could a few thousand Filipinos make in a war involving millions? They were about to find out. The answer came at the Battle of Unyielding in 1951. There, a single battalion of Filipinos, just 900 men, held the line against an estimated 40,000 Chinese troops. Yes, you heard that right. 40,000. The Chinese attacked in waves, charging through the night armed with artillery, mortars, and bayonets. The sky lit up with fire. The ground shook. The odds were beyond hopeless. And yet, the Filipinos stood their ground. They fired until their guns overheated. They fought hand to hand when the trenches filled with enemies. Some units ran out of ammunition and resorted to bayonets and fists. Still, they refused to surrender. For an entire night, they held back an army more than 40 times their size. When the sun rose, the battlefield was littered with bodies. But the Filipinos had not been broken. They inflicted such devastating losses on the Chinese that the enemy failed to break through. Military historians still point to Unyielding as one of the most heroic stands of the Korean War. What stunned observers was not just their survival, but their attitude. Reports describe Filipino soldiers singing in the trenches to keep their spirits up, or cracking jokes in the middle of combat. Imagine being an enemy soldier, expecting to crush your opponent easily only to face men who fight with smiles on their faces. It was terrifying. That unshakable spirit made the world stop and realize these warriors were something different. There, a single battalion of Filipinos, just a few hundred men, held the line against tens of thousands of Chinese soldiers. They were outnumbered 40-1. The enemy came in endless waves, firing artillery, charging with bayonets. Any normal unit would have broken. But the Filipinos didn't. They fought all night long. They refused to surrender. They held their ground so stubbornly that the Chinese finally had to pull back. Outnumbered, outgunned, and surrounded, yet unbroken. Military historians still call it one of the most heroic stands of the entire war. And here's the part that truly terrified their enemies. Filipino soldiers often fought with a kind of fearless energy that didn't make sense. Reports describe them charging with bayonets while laughing or singing songs in the middle of gunfire. Imagine you're an enemy soldier expecting fear, only to face men who treat battle like a test they refuse to lose.
I'm going to stop for 1 second over here because I want to say this, and I don't know if you agree with me. Look, we're talking about something that happened, I don't know, 60, 70 years ago, okay? And those soldiers over there not only proved the courage and, but they did something else, in my opinion. They were laughing in front of 40,000. They were cracking jokes and singing. Now let's think about what happens in the Philippines today. People are struggling a lot. And I saw it from the other videos that I have. From Happy Land to, everybody's struggling nowadays, honestly, in every country. But Filipinos are still today in front of a lot of difficulties, laughing, singing, and moving on, stood their ground and said, okay, there is a problem with this. I don't have enough money, or I have to do this or that, or the job, or whatever. I will move on. I will sing. I will laugh. I will go ahead, and my spirit is going to be intact. So that courage over there is not only for those soldiers, but it's for every single Filipino that are in the Philippines, and not only, even abroad, or every single Filipinos that are watching right now. Because this is the reality. I mean, I tried to connect what happened with what's happening, and nothing changed. Only maybe it changed because you guys improved even more of showing the world that when you have difficulties, you don't have to just stay on your knees because you're not going to improve anything. So really, I don't know if you agree with this thing that I just said right now, but this is what I think.
That kind of spirit crushes morale before the fight even ends. Witnesses recall soldiers so determined that even when shells exploded around them, they would rise, reload, and advance as if the danger was nothing more than a shadow to be ignored. The psychology of war breaks most men, but the Filipino soldier turns it into fuel. Then came Vietnam. Again, the Philippines sent forces, and again, their reputation preceded them. The Viet Cong, experts in guerrilla tactics, knew how dangerous Filipinos could be in jungle warfare. American commanders praised them as some of the most reliable allies. When you needed something done quickly, silently, and effectively, you sent in the Filipinos. Time and again, these soldiers moved through dense jungle, crossing rivers, dodging traps, all while gathering intelligence, rescuing civilians, or neutralizing targets with precision. They seemed to exist in a realm where danger and death were constants, yet fear never followed. But their story doesn't end in those wars of the past. In modern times, Filipino troops have served as peacekeepers across the globe, in East Timor, Iraq, Haiti, Liberia, and more. Over and over, they proved that their courage wasn't just for battlefields, but also for protecting civilians in some of the most dangerous places on Earth. In Haiti, they navigated neighborhoods riddled with armed gangs, often intervening to stop violence between factions. In East Timor, they patrolled streets where every shadow could hide a threat, yet maintained calm discipline and compassion. Their mission was never just about holding the line. It was about standing up for humanity, no matter the personal risk. One famous incident happened in the Golan Heights in 2014. Filipino peacekeepers were surrounded by over 100 heavily armed rebels. The rebels demanded their surrender. Most armies would have given up, but the Filipinos refused. They fought back with ferocity, holding their ground long enough to stage a daring escape under fire. One officer later said, "We are Filipinos. Surrender is not in our vocabulary." That single line sums up why the world respects and fears them. And it wasn't just bravado. Every move they made was calculated, every defense coordinated, every retreat purposeful, but never a sign of submission. They turned a desperate situation into a story of survival and skill that would be studied by military strategists for years. So what's their secret? What makes the Filipino soldier so different? The answer is resilience. Hardship is a teacher in the Philippines. Typhoons, earthquakes, poverty, political struggles. The Filipino people have faced it all. From birth, life demands toughness, and instead of breaking them, it hardens them. They grow up learning how to adapt, how to endure, how to keep smiling even when things seem hopeless. That's the kind of strength no boot camp can create. Soldiers carry that life-forged toughness into battle. The ability to march through rain-soaked jungles, fight with blisters and fever, remain alert when exhaustion has taken over the body, and still execute their mission flawlessly. And there's one more piece to this puzzle. Filipino soldiers aren't just feared for their ferocity, they're respected for their humanity. Even in war zones, stories abound of Filipino troops sharing their food with hungry children, protecting villagers and showing kindness where others might only show force. They once rescued entire families trapped in conflict zones, often at the cost of their own safety. Villagers remember them not as soldiers, but as saviors. Men who could wield a weapon with deadly efficiency yet cradle a child in the same hand. Enemies feared them. Civilians loved them. That rare combination of warrior and protector is what makes them stand apart. Think about it. Armies in history, the Mongols, the Spartans, the Romans, were feared because of their brutality. But Filipino soldiers? They're feared because you can't break their spirit. You can starve them, surround them, overwhelm them with numbers, and still they fight on. For their families, for their brothers beside them, for their country. They fight with a fire that comes from something deeper than strategy or training. It comes from pride, love, and an unshakable belief that giving up is simply not an option. And that spirit doesn't fade. It transcends generations. Today, young Filipino recruits study the stories of Bataan, Unyielding, and countless untold battles, learning that courage is not optional, it's a way of life. They see that being Filipino is not just about nationality. It's about carrying forward a legacy of unyielding endurance, unwavering loyalty, and unshakable heart. That is why the world fears the Filipino soldier. Not because of their weapons, not because of their numbers, but because in the end,
Because of their
courage,
heart.
resilience, and heart will always outlast fear. And when the dust settles, when the last shot is fired, you will still find them standing. Standing not because they were ordered to, but because giving up was never in their nature. Standing not for glory, but for honor. Standing because the spirit of the Filipino soldier is a force that history itself cannot crush. A light that refuses to be extinguished. A reminder that true strength lives in the unbreakable heart.
Okay. I love how he did. I mean, the original link you can find down below of this documentary over here. I didn't understand the images. Honestly, they were not, related, but I'm sorry. But, the story itself, it was a good thing, especially what he said at the end. He basically said what I said when I stopped and tried to compare the Filipinos of today with what happened before. And it's really mind-blowing. I'm curious about these two other battles that I didn't know about, the one in Vietnam as well, and the other one with Japan. So they're going to be on the channel as well. Another video that a guy suggested that is going to be on the channel is where the Philippines, let in Russians and not only a lot of other nations to their country, and I'm going to see that as well. We have a lot of requests on the channel, so it's going to be mind-blowing, guys. So make sure to subscribe to see it. And yeah, consider yourself a soldier, a big one, and consider yourself one of the most beautiful human beings that they are out there, because it's mind-blowing what you guys can do. And with every single video on this channel, not only for the music, not only for the culture or the country, how beautiful it is, but for being human and being strong. That's a thing that nobody can deny. And it was beautiful, at least for me. I hope you enjoy it. Like, share it, of course. Share all the videos so more people to know about the Philippines. And I'm waiting here you on the channel for other amazing videos. Until then, like I always say, stay safe.